8 o'clock. It is never this busy in my house on a Monday night at 8 o'clock. Here is time. Sis took my whole Alexa. No, I can't survive. I'm not myself without music. I can't even concentrate. I think it's a disorder where you got to have something going on in the background while you're doing something. Like one of them blessings and curse type thingies. But I had to cut my last video short, and I don't like to be interrupted though. But I'm gonna try to do this again and start from the top again. So earlier today I had a conversation with a classmate of mine, and we were talking about high blood pressure and how we are no strangers to the disease. And he was saying some of the things that he do, and I was thinking about in the last, today's the 4th, in the last 3 weeks I've had a lot of conversation go around high blood pressure, and mainly coming from women, but everybody is African American. The discussion about high blood pressure, and I suffer from high blood pressure. My folks do. A lot, quite a bit of the people that I know that do. And it's funny that some people that I know, they suffer from it now, but they didn't previously. No matter, it didn't really matter the size, because I had one person that buys the tea from me, and she's smaller than she was before, and before she didn't have a problem with her blood pressure, and now she is having a problem with it. I've suffered from high blood pressure for, I don't know, about 15 or 16 years, and my problem is I hate taking the medicine. I do understand that sometimes there are things outside of our control where we have to take medicine. High blood pressure is one of those things that I struggle with. Like, it's a back and forth thing. When it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's bad. And it's never in between. And it's never below. It's never low, but it does get super high. So, according to Google, high blood pressure is a condition in which the force of the blood against the artery is too high. Usually hypertension, which is the medical term for high blood pressure, is defined as blood pressure above 140/90, and is considered severe if the pressure is above 180/20. I've had both numbers be higher than the 180/120 and walk out of doctor's offices and hospitals and things like that, and it not really raise a red flag. Anything severe is considered stroke level, and one of the leading causes of death amongst African American women is, you guessed it, stroke and heart disease, which is sometimes due to high blood pressure. And it states high blood pressure often has no symptoms, which sometimes strokes don't either, and the other things that's why they call it the silent killer. Over time, if untreated, it can cause health conditions such as heart disease and stroke, #1 killer of women. And this really it is worse in our community, but it's women altogether as a whole. And sometimes you question why, but then if you are a woman, you understand why, because you understand all of the things that weigh on our shoulders that we're dealing with and having to go through. And you're so busy taking care of everybody else that you sometimes forget that the care that you're giving to everybody else, you also need the care, the love, all of that. And so we understand why we have high blood pressure because most everything falls into our lap, so we get it, although others don't. And the risk factors are sometimes things that you can and cannot control. I stated before, obesity or being overweight. Obesity makes you more likely to have high blood pressure. Family history of high blood pressure. If you're predisposed to having it, I mean, chances are you can hold off or you can maintain it. Not being physically active, dieting high salt, sodium, or low potassium, tobacco use, drinking too much alcohol, certain chronic conditions, and age. Those are the things that you cannot and can control. But it says that eating a healthier diet with less salt, exercising regularly, and taking medications can help lower the blood pressure. Obesity is sometimes controllable as well as uncontrollable. I know that there are people that feel like that they just born big, they gonna die big, ain't nothing they can do about it. And like I said, some of them have high blood pressure and some of them do not. That can be considered controllable or not controllable, depending on how you look at it. Your family history, you can't control that because you can't control whose blood mixed with whose and made you have high blood pressure or low blood pressure or whatever. And not being physically active can be controlled and it cannot be controlled, because chances are if you are obese and you already have high blood pressure, then you have issues that sometimes may not make it possible to be physically active. However, I do know, and I need to check with her, that even being physically active, not obese, and have a family history of it can still cause you to have high blood pressure. And that's something that is uncontrollable because you feel like you're doing the right things. But there's more, so wait right there. Diet and high salt, sodium, or low potassium. Everything that we are digesting and ingesting, and there's risk to it all. But in our community, we eat a lot of things that's high in sodium, such as pork, beef, chicken, and then the vegetables that we do eat are sometimes cooked alongside some of those same meats, and then we season it on top of that, and so that also causes high blood pressure, and it causes you to have the itis where you don't feel like getting up. And a lot of times with Black women, we're eating on the go, we're eating fast because we have so much to do. It's like there's little time, and that's controllable and uncontrollable in certain situations. However, if you already have a busy lifestyle, then trying to eat, you still the last person on the list. So even when you still the last person on the list and you're trying to combat all of this, then you have certain chronic conditions and age, too much alcohol, and tobacco use also plays a part in that. Now, some things, again, are controllable and aren't controllable. I had high blood pressure starting in my 20s. And so it says age is on here. But certain chronic conditions, like the endometriosis, the fibroids, the things that affect us can also cause the blood pressure to be high. I do not drink. I do not smoke. But then, too, there are some natural ways to control high blood pressure. And the first thing for me, and it wasn't just for blood pressure, but it was for overall health, was I changed the way I eat. And a lot of people, when they want the quick fix, we all want the quick fix. I want the quick fix, but it's not that simple. So I changed the way I eat. It's not the healthiest. I'll never say it's the healthiest. I still eat terrible, but I don't eat as bad as I used to. There was something else I pulled up earlier that let me see. Oh, it was the more items. This top one didn't say a very important thing about race being a risk factor. And here it says race. Elevated blood pressure is particularly common in Black people and usually develop at an earlier age than it does in white people. Well, it's right there in black and white. Although elevated blood pressures and high blood pressures are most common in adults, children can get it too. I know when I was a kid, it wasn't a big deal. Like, we probably should have been checked for it. Well, some of them should have been checked for high blood pressure, but it wasn't a thing back then. I've noticed lately that there are more obesity and hypertension specialists for kids. I mean, it's about the same amount as it is for adults, but that wasn't real common when I was growing up. So for some children, kidney or heart problems can... I got mosquitoes in here. I don't know how the mosquitoes got in. They bite in the worst way. But for some children, kidney or heart problems can cause high blood pressure. Poor lifestyle habits such as unhealthy diets, obesity, lack of exercise continue to contribute to increased blood pressure in kids. To this I say, we are all still living the very high lifestyle. I mean, fast-paced lifestyle. So it's like it's not enough hours in a day. If we eating trash, then we probably feeding the kids trash because it's faster to get. Like, it's quicker, faster, easier to grab, and it does cost more to eat healthier. I can pay the same amount for a salad that it probably costs for a Happy Meal, if not more. And then I don't care. I mean, like, a lot of times kids, I've tried it. You can offer them some healthy food and they won't eat it because they're used to eating. And it's hard to switch over. It was hard for me to switch over. I had to cut back a little bit before I was able to cut out. And I have made some healthy lifestyle changes for them. I didn't force them to stop eating chicken, although I'm trying. But our kids don't get outside. They don't get a lot of exercise. They aren't as active as we were. So that is not good. And then, of course, if they're already predisposed to having it and they're eating bad, and I believe that's where it started, in childhood, possibly, because I think it builds up the foundation. So it builds up and it accumulates over time, even in things that we don't even know. Because at first we think, okay, well, we don't use a whole lot of salt in the house. But then when you start label reading and start checking out products, let me see this for instance. I've never looked at the ingredients in this. Why? I don't know. Because it's quick and fast. It's a snack. It's sitting on the table. Anybody can grab it. The sodium in here is 300 milligrams. Well, wow. I wouldn't have guessed it. I mean, you would think it's peanut butter crackers. So you would think, but then too, over time, you accumulate 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 a week. That's a lot of sodium. Which I feel like sodium, of course, it dries you out. So you can be dehydrated from too much salt and sodium. Dehydration will lead to you feeling fatigued and not wanting to get out and get your heart rate to a healthy, active level. And so we're sitting in the house. We're eating later. I do know that there's a certain time of day we're supposed to eat. There's a debate on how many times a day you should eat. If you should eat 3 big meals a day, or if you should eat 5 to 6 small meals throughout the day. If you should fast between this amount of time, like whatever works for you. There's different things for different people, so you can't. It's not a one type thingy. But we're eating later, so we are working, eating, working. Then you got to pick up the kids, and you got to come home. You got to do homework. Got to do this. So when you eat, and then you shower, and then you go to bed, you're sleeping on. In a perfect world, you can have somebody prepare you a nice, healthy little meal, and it be sitting out on the little table, and all you got to do is eat, and then you can go jog or play some little racquetball or walk around the neighborhood or something like that, a little healthy, but we all know the world ain't perfect. So you eating, and then you rushing the kids off the bed. You got to watch your shows and stuff, and then you snacking throughout the day. And yes, I am addicted to snacks. And let's see how much sodium in this. I ain't gonna be able to eat nothing. This got 260 milligrams of sodium. So the sodium is hidden in things, that everyday things that we don't even consider that being unhealthy. It's quick, it's fast, it's cheap, which cheap ain't always good. So this is a big problem, not just for for us being healthy and being around and being able to maintain your own household, but this kind of stress and on the heart is not good for the kids, because and especially the women, because what we aren't really looking at, when you are carrying another life within your body, that's more stress on the heart, because the body is doing work for 2 times, like you and somebody else. Like, you brought a friend. It was you didn't say it was a +1. The body thought it was just working with 1. So you overworking the heart, and the arteries and everything is working at a faster pace. And so if you start out with a bad foundation, by the time you get into childbearing years, you've already had so much stress on your heart that having another life, having to pump and all these different things, and there's preeclampsia and post-eclampsia that I didn't even know it was a thing until after I had it myself. But we have to find a way to start them out younger. My youngest has tried more raw fruits than I ever have, and it's because I didn't eat that. I don't like blueberries. No, we didn't eat raspberries. Like, we ate the main strawberries, peaches, watermelon. I was an adult before I ate raw pomegranate, because we just didn't eat pomegranate, and now I love pomegranates. But she would eat the raspberries, like, the minute they hit the refrigerator, she's taking them back out to wash them off to eat them. The blueberries don't last 2 days and things like that. And although it's a struggle with the fresh fruits and vegetables, it's better than, the alternative, which is contributing to high blood pressure. One of the things that they say that, the sun, getting out in the sun, and I know it's hard to do, but getting out in the sun, exercise and walking a few hours a day, a couple of days a week, is really healthy for the heart. Any kind of movement where you're keeping the blood flowing is going to be healthy for the heart. This says 15 natural ways to treat high blood pressure. Walk and exercise regularly. Reduce your sodium intake. Drink less alcohol. Eat more potassium-rich foods. Cut back on the caffeine. Learn to manage stress. Like, just hit that button. In the perfect world, you can manage stress better. Eat dark chocolate or cocoa. Lose weight. Okay. This didn't say, but you should increase your water intake, because if you well, we know the body is made up of mostly water, but if you are not taking or drinking or consuming sugary snacks, which I'm sure the sugary snacks and drinks and juices and sodas, all of them probably have hidden sodium in it and other things, because caffeine is another thing that can raise your blood pressure. So drinking more water definitely would be a start, but also incorporating some healthy vitamins and teas and herbs and things like that to help. Just off the bat, garlic helps with high blood pressure. Hibiscus helps with high blood pressure. There is like a million herbs that are good for high blood pressure. However, a herb alone is not the only thing that's going to help with the blood pressure. But if it comes from the earth, it's not going to become wrapped in the package you like. So if it comes from earth and it's natural, it's not going to come wrapped in some pretty gold paper where you're going to want to eat it and it's going to taste right. If it comes from the earth, it's natural, then 9 times out of 10, it doesn't have the greatest taste. How many other things that you drink or consume that doesn't taste good? But again, heart disease and stroke is the number one killer of women. Number one. Of all the ways that we know in which women are passing away, and heart disease is number one. And another thing that we know it in the back of our mind, but we don't know it because we're busy. It's a silent killer. So we could be suffering right now and wouldn't know. So the first thing I would say is we need to learn the signs, the first aid signs to spot a stroke. I think that all women of every race should know their blood pressure, like know where yours is at. And I think it's especially important to know it around your cycle. It may sound crazy, but I feel like during that time of the month, I seen a post earlier today that was like, so we having a cycle every 2 weeks now, or is that just me? And a lot of women were going down like, oh my God, I thought that was just me. I didn't think it was affecting everybody. So when you're on your cycle and the blood is flowing, and I think everything is heightened. So everything is your emotions are heightened. So I feel like your blood pressure and your everything, your cholesterol, all those things are being affected at the same time. So I think that every woman should own a blood pressure cup. Amazon got them, Walmart, Big Lots. Like I think you can get a nice one for about $20. The one that I have, it goes around my wrist. I've had it for years. I use like AAA batteries, 2 of them. And you get that. You get a diary so that you're able to... Am I going to move the phone? You get a diary or a journal or something like this, and you keep up with your blood pressure so that you know the baseline. My blood pressure cup has a memory on it, so it'll go back a little further. Because if you go to the doctor, because if you feel like you are having issues with your blood pressure, the first and foremost is to see your physician and discuss it with your physician, because your physician is going to want to say, well, what was it? What's today? Monday. What was it on Saturday? It was 143 over 92. Oh, well, what were you doing? The kids were blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you keeping a diary of it, you know what happened, because I don't even remember where I was Saturday, so it's good to write it down. But I'm going to go a little further and say also write down what you ate, because if you are able to keep a journal and you're able to, because and for a lot of things, if you can go back and be like, oh, okay, my cycle was bunch of mosquitoes. What you think you're doing? You so. Ice cream this time of night? Time.
I wish we didn't have to go to school. It's stupid.
What is she texting about? Bring me those grapes. Let me be real to you, grapes. So the last thing I was saying was to journal your get a portable blood pressure cuff. You can get one of them from Amazon, Walmart, Big Lots, Target. I don't know, but just get one. It's very important that you have a blood pressure cuff and a journal. That way you can journal your blood pressure, and you will be able to notice, because I think that some people can tell when their blood pressure. I know that I've heard people say on several occasions that they get a headache when their blood pressure is high, or they feel dizzy and faint when their blood pressure is high. So getting a blood pressure cuff where you can keep up with it at home, because you don't want to have to run to the CVS and take your blood pressure every day after you get out work. So a portable blood pressure machine and a journal. Write down what your blood pressure was, what you ate possibly, what you were doing. Cycles, I think, are very important to keep up with, but it's hard to say, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna stick to it. But again, heart disease and stroke, #1 killer in women. Break it down to black women. It says black women are 60% more likely to have high blood pressure than non-Hispanic white women. Nearly 50% of black women over the age of 20 have heart disease. Almost 50,000 black women die of cardiovascular disease each year. Just one in five black women believe she is personally at risk for heart disease. Black women are twice as likely to have stroke compared to white women. So, what have we learned? Not to mention, heart disease, stroke, heart attack is a silent killer, which means you can have all of this at the same time and not have one symptom. Well, how is that possible? Well, it's silent. I think too many of the risk factors is what puts you at a higher percentage of high blood pressure, stroke, and things like that affect you, because one does not have to exist for the other one to be a problem. So you do not have to have high blood pressure to have a stroke. You do not have to have a stroke and then you develop they don't have to exist at the same time. So one could coexist, or they could exist all together, which would put you at a higher risk. But it is, I don't want to say it's preventable. I'm going to say it's manageable, because again, there are some risk factors that are controllable and are uncontrollable as to why you could have or have not high blood pressure. But again, the numbers, I didn't realize it was more than 60%. So that is more than half. And over the age of 20. So just imagine you're 20. You're just getting started, really. And you already have something to stress about. And it's not really something that, depending on who you are, where you are, what you consume, those things like that, you have no control over these. Because some of the things like race, hereditary, like those things, like you inherit it, so you can inherit the high blood pressure. And of course you inherit your race, you don't have any control over that either, but it makes us at more risk. And as a black woman, I understand the things behind it. Yo, can you turn that light off over there? Like nobody's over there. There are so many variables that go into the risk behind high blood pressure. The way we eat, the things we eat, the lifestyle that we lead. Most of the time it's fast paced. There's little to no room for downtime. Like we don't even schedule in time to be sick. Like I'm gonna have to pencil in. It ain't possible. It can't fit nowhere here. And if it don't go on the phone and on the calendar, it ain't gonna get done no way. So ain't nobody penciling in that. But what can I do? How can I start out to improve my health? Well, one, you can start out by drinking more water, getting the blood pressure machine, keeping up with your levels. Maybe times that where are going to be high pressure than others, then maybe you can make some adjustments. And what I mean, if you notice that during your cycle your blood pressure is high, then maybe the week before that and the week after you change what you eat. Or I know for me that sometimes when you're on your cycle and you hurting and you fatigued and you moody and you got all these things going on, you may not be thinking consciously, I'm going to get in a walk or I'm going to get in some exercise. So maybe you know that this week, according to my calendar, when it's going to come, I won't be able to, or I won't feel like it, or I can't exercise. Then I'm going to exercise more the week before, and then I'll pick back up the week after. But it's penciled in, so you know that you have given yourself that grace. Or you say, I'm going to drink more water. And that way this will have it a little less. When I'm on my cycle and I'm craving the junk food high in sodium and caffeine, because a lot of times when we're on a cycle, the one thing that we want is chocolate. Well, chocolate got caffeine in it. Well, what does caffeine do? Caffeine raises your blood pressure. So it's like a snowball effect of so many different things that if you don't know, you don't know. In my 20s, my early 20s, I wasn't concerned with high blood pressure. Because I didn't think, I thought that was an older person's disease. I thought older people suffer from high blood pressure. Well, according to statistics, kids are having hypertension. And so if they have a poor or a bad foundation with their diets and their lifestyle early, by the time that they get into childbearing years, their heart has already been working. And once you become pregnant and your heart and your body is doing stuff double, sometimes triple, if you have multiples, like the heart is working overtime. And then you have preeclampsia and post-eclampsia and eclampsia. And no, don't even try it. No, come back. And then you have kids that cause your pressure to skyrocket a lot like that. I'm gonna say the more kids you have, meaning the more that you've been pregnant, that you've carried a life, the more the body has worked over and worked over it. You hurry up and get some and get that up. And see, they don't make it any better. But the more that you pregnant, the more wear and tear is done on the body. The heart is pumping twice as much. Like there's a lot that goes into carrying another life that we simply just don't consider. at 20. Like a lot of times you're like, I ain't having kids till I'm 40, and then by the time you get 40, well, now you're really at risk of this, and that. And remember, it's a silent killer, so we didn't even know, we didn't have any signs, we didn't have any symptoms. Let's see, what are some of the signs? Let's see. What are 10 warning signs? Severe headaches, nosebleeds, fatigue or confusion, vision problems, chest pain, a hard time breathing, irregular heartbeat, and blood in the urine. Let's go down the list. Well, if you have certain conditions or you have migraines, then having a severe headache really isn't going to raise a red flag as to, my blood pressure might be high. Unless you have high blood pressure diagnosed and you're able to go in and talk to your physician and say, I'm having, headaches. You have your journal where you were keeping up with how much your blood pressure was, what you had consumed that day, some, little notes around it or whatever. But just having severe headaches doesn't directly mean you have high blood pressure, and vice versa. If you don't have them, so it's just one of the things that you should discuss with your physician. Nosebleeds. I don't know. I can't even remember having them, but I would first, if I had a nosebleed, associated with allergies or something, sinus, something more so than high blood pressure. But that would just be like just rattling things out. But then too, I could look at and see, the days that I had the nosebleeds and what my blood pressure was and what I was feeling and what I was doing. Like it's a checks and balances thing. Because if you go into the doctor's office with severe headaches and it, it's going to take some trial and error to pinpoint it to what's going on. And remember, it's silent, so there's other things going on at the same time. Fatigue or confusion, that I wouldn't even associate with, because I forget things and be confused on, now who was I supposed, now which kid are you? Like the confusion thing, I wouldn't directly associate with high blood pressure, because we so dependent, I know I am, on the telephone, that if the phone don't tell me that I'm confused or fatigued, I probably wouldn't even realize that it was a problem. So vision problems, well, again, we always on the phone got the thing like this close, or you on this, or whatever you're doing, so your vision is being impaired by all this screen time that we're having. Chest pains is one of the warning signs that's on stroke. So then that would kind of make me be like, maybe I'm having some chest pains because of something. It just wouldn't directly, it would be something that when you go to the doctor's office with chest pain, a doctor's office or the ER, they would give you an EKG, and then they will hook you up to the monitors, and so they will watch you and things like that. And I don't know about anybody else, but in my case, if I was having chest pain, the minute they got me in there and hooked me up to the thing, everything would stop, and it'll be like, what? Are you sure you had it? Like, okay. A hard time breathing, to me, you don't get out of shape doing some of these little dances, walking up the steps, walking to the car. Like, you can get out of shape. And the first thing I would think of if I was having a hard time breathing, that it's asthma. Like, the pollen is high, it's hot, humid, it's asthma. I wouldn't directly coordinate it with high blood pressure. Irregular heartbeat. Who can tell when it's irregular and when it's regular? You just know when it's fast and when it's slow. And sometimes, and I'm guilty of it too, the watch is what tells me that the heart rate is fast. So, and we never would really know that we had blood in our urine unless it was tested to see if it was blood in the urine. So, let's say, when is your blood pressure high enough to go to the hospital? 180 over 120. And you have chest pain, shortness of breath, or symptoms of a stroke. By the time that all of this happens, you are in the danger zone. You are. Which is the reason why they say seek medical attention. How can I prevent it? Or how can I manage it? Because again, the risk factors sometimes make it out of your control as to whether or not you'll have high blood pressure. Can dehydration, which you can dry yourself out with too much sodium. Can dehydration cause high blood pressure? When you're dehydrated, your blood pressure releases hormones that can cause your blood vessels to constrict, which can lead to increased blood pressure. If you are resisting high blood pressure or at risk for high blood pressure, dehydration can exacerbate the condition and make it more difficult to manage. So you drink more water. I accept and allow success in all areas of my life. That's my Lord. I am confirmation. I accept and allow success in all areas of my life. At 8:44. Should I lie down if my blood pressure is high? This is on Google. I just Googled high blood pressure causes, which a lot of times we substitute going to the doctor for Google and WebMD and things like that. So if you feel like you may be at risk, the first thing to do is consult your physician and discuss your concerns with them. But also you can go in there and cut out some of the middle, because it's going to be a thing where, you know, it's going to be a series of back and forth, because like I said, the signs and symptoms are so vast that it takes a lot to narrow it down to high blood pressure. And then at first I thought I was suffering from what they call white coat syndrome. Every time you see a white coat, you automatically PTSD, or you have an anxiety from going back to a white coats and doctors, where it causes your blood pressure and your heart rate and things like that to rapidly increase. Pain can cause your blood pressure to be up, which again, going back to the endometriosis, fibroids, and all of the period symptoms and pains and things like that, that will cause your blood pressure to raise, which is again a good idea to have your personal blood pressure cup, so that you can take your own blood pressure and you can keep documentation, take it to the doctor, and you know that, my third day on, my blood pressure gets to be this. I ate this, and this. So, and it may be a case where you may have to be put on a blood pressure pill, which isn't the worst thing, because along with the right medication, a healthier diet, some exercise, and some lifestyle changes is manageable, and that's always good. Stress can cause you to have high blood pressure, which we know that. Lack of sleep, like there are so many things that can contribute to high blood pressure that we're like, okay, life can make the blood pressure high, and that's true. So some herbs that I have researched and studied, say, can foods, the way we eat, give you high blood pressure. 11 foods that increase high blood pressure. Table salt, certain condiments and sauces, foods with saturated and trans fat, fried food, fast food, canned food, frozen food, processed food, deli meats, cured meats, salted snacks. That pretty much names everything we eat every day, all day, 365 days a year, 66 if it's a leap. I stated let me see if I still have it up. The statistics of how serious high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke is in the Black community. Black women are 60% times more likely to have it. Nearly 50% of the Black women over age 20 have heart disease. Almost 50,000 Black women die of cardiovascular disease each year. Just 1 in 5 women believe she's personally, and she believe it. It ain't documented, or she ain't 100%. She just believe in her mind that she is personally at risk. So that means if it's me and 4 of my homegirls, only one of us is concerned, but we need to talk about it amongst all of us so we can all figure out, like, what's your levels? You good? You straight? Well, I had to take a pill, but then I started walking. Well, why don't we walk together? So it's not just something that affects one, it affects us all. Black women are twice as likely to have a stroke compared to white women. Well, that's not a surprise to me, and you're probably not surprised either. And we know that we are living a very stressful, and that's not to discount what nobody else is going through, but we know just from social media alone that we live in a very high stressful lifestyle. The things that we're eating are things that we were, recipes that were passed down, may not be the healthiest thing. We know we like to eat soul food, fried chicken, fried pork chops. We fry everything. French fries. What don't we fry? Fried catfish. We're going to fry it all. And it tastes delicious. I know. And then we season it. I know it does. But it's not healthy for us in the long run. So that's one of those things where I had to ask myself, are you okay with enjoying that for just that moment? Because, you consuming them once once you have ate it, that's it, it's gone. So is that little piece of satisfaction worth more than, it adding a little more time to your clock, so to speak? Because when the clock is up, the time is up and the clock is, So a lot of times you have to ask yourself, is this more important, eating this more important than getting my life together, getting my shit together? Because all weekend long, I wanted to stop by Krispy Kreme. And I was like, I'm going to give me some Krispy Kreme. So if I go over there, then I'm going to be right by the Krispy Kreme. I'm going to give me some Krispy Kreme. I didn't make it. And it was a lot of reasons why I didn't make it. But the main reason was I didn't want to drive. The gas is hot. Like, it was a lot of things that contributed to it. But I was thinking, well, what can I eat that would not be as bad? I got grapes. I got a little fruit thing. And all they left me was grapes. But grapes are really good. Seeded grapes are really good. But that brings up another thing that we have to worry about, because it's the pesticides that were sprayed on the grape. Like, it's so many things that is designed to, the pesticides that keep the pests from eating it. But then if they don't want to eat what's on the fruit is sprayed on it, then why should we? But I don't think we asked them the right questions. Drinking more water. If you're over a certain age, women, I think we all can agree we probably need a vitamin. Get them vitamins, because the way our cycles are right now, our iron is low, our vitamin D is low, potassium is low, magnesium, like the things that we need. And magnesium is supposed to be really good for the heart. I've seen that some people are trying to take more magnesium so they can get more sleep at night. That's good, but magnesium is also good for the heart and the blood pressure. So we need to be taking get our own blood pressure cuff. And I should have got mine. Get your blood pressure cuff. Get you a journal. Keep up with what you're eating, what you're consuming, what you're eating. Because even when I say eating, what you're consuming too, because that could be good energy, bad energy, but you're consuming it whether you're aware or not, and that could contribute to high blood pressure as well. But try to take notes, journal what your blood pressure was, what you were doing, were you on your cycle, did you have a headache, what other symptoms did you have along with it. So you got that. You and your homegirls are gonna start walking. You're drinking more water. You got you one of them cute little water jugs. You're drinking more water. So you're drinking more water. You're exercising more. You're keeping up with your blood pressure. You're taking the vitamin. You've talked to your doctor. He or she knows your concerns. You've gone over your diet. You try to eliminate some of the really unhealthy things first. So what can you eliminate first? What did I eliminate first? Red meat. Because they kept saying chocolate, 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 caffeine, caffeine, caffeine. And I was like, oh my God, you want me to stop eating chocolate? When the moment the sun and the moon decide what they gonna do, the cycle is like, I'm coming, and your cravings is like, yeah, go ahead and get a 12 count of those donuts, get a dozen hot. We're gonna eat them in the car before we even get home. The kids won't get none. And that be your hormones talking. You don't really want to eat the whole thing, but you can't keep from eating the whole thing, especially if they hot too. And so I couldn't cut out the caffeine and the sweets and the chocolate, so the first thing I cut out was red meat. So start with if pork is one that you know you really, really, really need to cut out or cut back on. I took them off of certain things, and I kind of snuck other things in. Not to say it was healthy, but I took away pork bacon and I gave them turkey bacon. I took away ground beef and I gave them ground turkey. So there's ways to do some little things, but eat more fruits and vegetables, fresh. The fresher the better. They say the frozen ones are better because they were fresh at the time that they were frozen. The canned ones have a shelf life, and then you have to also consider what's put in the canned foods processed to make them live on the shelf, and how much of that, because you still have the pesticides, and like it's again a lot of stuff that go into there. But in order to end this video, I want to give you some herbs that I just was like, what can I write? Like what are some things that I could do? Herbs, and vegetables and things like that on there. So garlic, hibiscus. I have raw cucumbers. We all like a good cucumber. Celery, watercress, omega-3s, high fiber diet, lavender, passion flower, valerian root, vitamin B. What else? I like cranberry juice. Excuse me, I don't think cranberry juice, I don't know, it might. The cranberry juice that we drink isn't the cranberry juice that's the healthy one. The cranberry juice that we need to be drinking is not good at all. It doesn't have all that sugar and stuff in it. I even have lemon juice on here. But they say the raw garlic is the better. So there's garlic pills you can take. But it's not going to just be the herbs that's going to work. And it's not going to just be drinking more water that's going to work. And it's not just going to be taking a little pill that's going to work. And it's not going to be less, I'm going to get a massage every month. Like, those things are good, especially self-care for, the high volume, the busy lifestyles that we're leading. But we also need to make a lot of changes. And if you can't do it for you, do it for your kids, because you have to think that what you eat and they eating too, and what they're eating, you're eating probably the leftovers. And it starts in childhood and with some of the things that we are consuming. And if your parents have it or your grandparents have it, then you should probably check your own levels with your physician and come up with a plan. Because even if you say, well, I'll watch it and then I'll come back in a month, I think 4 to 6 weeks maybe is probably the amount of time. But during that time, the doctor's going to want you to keep a record of your blood pressure so you can tell them. But also in that time, if the doctor is concerned, then you can discuss with the doctor about some lifestyle change and some things that you can add, some things that you can subtract. Getting with a nutritionist, trying to figure out some things that you'll do for a healthy lifestyle. But it all starts with you. Like you have to want to add a little extra time, slow down, do something different so that you can take better care of yourself, so that you can take care of your family. It's that same thing. Put your mask on before you put on the mask on the kids, and you save yourself first, because you can't pour from an empty cup. You can, but you'll leave yourself with a deficit. And high blood pressure can affect the kidneys. And that's why a lot of times when they put you on, if it's severe and they put you on a blood pressure pill and it's diuretic, it causes you to go to the bathroom, which you need to be drinking more water, because you got to put in just as much as you're putting out. And then, more. You're supposed to be drinking half your body weight in ounces of water every day anyway. The body is made up of mostly water. If you smoke cigarettes, please stop it now. If you smoke other things, I'm not too sure that that's much safer. And I'm a hookah pen fanatic. Like, I love my hookah pen, but I know it's not healthy. It's not safe. But it's one of those things where I feel like it calms me. So, let me have my little thing. I don't drink, although I do know that they say a glass of red wine is good for the heart. As a matter of fact, oh man, I'm gonna have to do a whole nother video, because I did the research on which wine was good for the heart and what it contained in and how much you need to drink and that. So I'll do a video about that. But what do we learn today? You have to be your own advocate for your health. So know where your levels are. Watch your blood pressure. Look out for your homegirls. Make sure they checking it. Y'all can do it together. Like meet up, walk. I know several ladies that meet up and walk. I've seen some older ladies a couple of weeks ago. They were older ladies, and I was like, I remember seeing them, but they get together and they do their little walks and things like that. So get you a homegirl. Make sure y'all safe. Walk. Drink your water, glass of red wine, eat healthier, exchange some healthy recipes with your friend. Like, do some things that will help increase your heart rate. Like, not increase it in the back, but get the body moving and move around and get that blood circulating in, because you get the blood circulating and get your muscles right, and you'll be able to keep up and go on these hot girl summer trips and stuff like that, and not need a nap. When you go out of town, you don't only want to need a nap. Everybody else cool, but then they want a nap too. They just don't want to say it. But high blood pressure is manageable. That's number one. I have not created a tea blend just for high blood pressure, but I do have a tea blend that is created for a mother's heart and a man's too. But it was the tea was made with me in mind. Like, what would I want to drink that would be light on the heart? And so I have a mother's blend, and it actually has a pleasant taste to it because it has a lot of flowery flavors. Is that a word? Flowery flavor to it. So it's not bad. You can drink it cold on ice, and it's good for the heart. It has some good things in it for the heart. But this will also be, something that after you consulted with your physician and made sure that it was, the tea was added to it and not a substitute for something else. So a mother's blend tea, more water, more movement, no tobacco, cut down on fried foods, sodium. Take control of your own health, because nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody. So just do what you need to do for you. And like I said, you have to decide, is this little moment worth high blood pressure? So is it or no?